like every guy is capable of this type of action that you do.
It's absolutely.
But let me put it this way: some guys, their girls are so important to them that it's almost like you're saying, let's say you're in Vegas, you got a pile of fucking chips, pile of chips.
Yeah,
these chips mean a lot to you.
Right.
You seem like the kind of guy that is willing to put that motherfucker down and look, I'm gambling it. If I lose it, what the fuck? If I win, hey, I got twice as much. You are willing to take a relationship and lay it on the line and willing to have it walk out the fucking door.
Anthony,
So what he's talking about now has a lot to do with Patrice O'Neal's philosophy on relationships. And a lot of times Patrice O'Neal basically expresses that he's willing to risk it all and lose it all to protect his happiness. So if he's not going to worry about losing a girl if it means that he did the right thing in the process of losing her. Just for some context.
You're a movie genius. What did De Niro say? What was one of his famous lines from fucking Heat?
Oh shit, Heat is one I'm not as familiar with.
He said that don't attach yourself to nothing you can't walk out in 30 seconds or less. And that is how you're supposed to approach it. As soon as you feel the heat on, as soon as you feel like, whoa, this is not fun. There is not one reason why you should have a bad time in a relationship. Why? I come in here, right? If I come in here every day for 4 hours, at what minute do I cause you motherfuckers pain and suffering? At 1 minute, do you cause
702?
702. Do you cause each other pain and stuff? Like, cause you think you can. You come in, you're like, what's up, oh? He goes, what's up, Aunt? Blasey, what we gonna do today? We getting along. Blah. That's a relationship. So at what point there's ups and downs and there's enough fucking downs that's gonna happen without the help of the motherfucker you love.
So I've always loved this little discussion here because I think he makes a great point. And when I look at my own life, right, and the people I interact with, now, of course, I've never been in a relationship, but when I look at my friendships and my relationships with my family, and I compare them to like toxic relationships that I've seen people in, toxic, intimate sexual relationships people have been in, I look at, like, wait a minute. Why is it normal? Why is it normal, considered normal for people in intimate relationships to be fighting regularly? Why the hell is it normalized that in a relationship, it's okay that you guys are getting into serious, heated arguments every week or every other week? I look at my relationship with my mother, for example. We don't always get along. I don't always get along with anybody. But I can say that overall we get along 90% of the time. That's a good balance. To expect perfection, to expect to never have disputes or tension or problems with other people, even family and friends and lovers, I think that's just completely unrealistic. It's unreasonable. But there has to be a good balance. And with everybody that I've accepted in my life and is in my life, there's a good balance. It's never perfection, but there's a good balance. Whether it's my mom, my niece, friender, rest in peace, my friend, and I've eliminated people from my life when that balance was no longer there. When the balance was skewed towards negativity, I have literally eliminated and cut people out of my life without mercy, because I just believe there's no excuse for that. I don't expect perfection, but like Patrice said, when you feel it in your gut, when you feel that heat, like something is right, you gotta acknowledge that and you gotta act on that. And the comparison that he makes is with his relationship with his friends, like his homies, like they go to work every day and they get along for the most part. Why can't you do that with your girl or your boyfriend? Why can't people in relationships just get the fuck along? It doesn't have to be perfect, But I think that we've come to accept these extreme up and downs in relationships, and it's becoming normalized. Toxic relationships in our culture are becoming normalized. And a lot of people would take issue with what Patrice is saying, when in reality, they would never accept that kind of imbalance when it comes to dealing with family, when it comes to dealing with friends.
But don't you think that if you're willing to put yourself in a situation where you're able to walk away in 30 seconds like that, just walk away, that maybe you're putting up some barriers that you could be having an even better time if you would invest a little more, that you couldn't possibly walk away?
Absolutely.
No.
This is listen. I can
I'm just playing the pussy whip advocate here.
The pussy whip advocate.
I can only love, and this is anybody. I can only love somebody 90%. That's the most love I can give. That's the highest, because I have to save 10% to survive in case that person ain't shit, in case they leave me, in case they cheat.
You go 100%, then you're shooting yourself.
You go 100%.
You jump out a window.
What have you got left for you? You understand? So I need something to survive. Human nature is human nature. I don't plan for it. I just go, I'm going to survive it. So when I say 30 seconds or less, that's euphemism. That's hypothetical. Yeah. But I'm saying, sweetie, if you don't threaten to leave me, just leave me, because I'm not gonna play the game with you. It's like I have to survive.
I'm not gonna play the game with you, and I think what he said there is so important, because a lot of times in relationships, the big fear is the fear of loss, and that's what keeps people in toxic relationships. You'll endure the negativity. You'll endure the abuse because you're afraid of losing that person. You're afraid of being alone. You're afraid of going back to being single. And that allows the other person to really control you if you're dealing with somebody who's intentionally manipulative. Sometimes you're just dealing with somebody who, because I think in relationships between men and women, some of it comes down to the fact that a lot of women have never been held accountable by a man in a relationship. And so they don't really grow or adjust and mature to where, they are going to behave in a way that's going to be good for the maintenance of peace and harmony in the relationship. I'll put it like that. And what he says about, I can only love 90%. I got to keep some for me just in case. And I totally agree with that. I think that in a way, we romanticize falling in love. We romanticize being madly in love. These ideas of, I need you, you complete me, I can't live without you. If you really think about it, that way of thinking is very unhealthy. Because let's say, for instance, you got a girlfriend or a wife and she passes away. And in your mind, I can't live without her. And look, that's touching, that's sweet, but that's not good. You still have a life to live. Maybe you have kids, maybe you have friends, maybe you have family. So you have to be able to move on. This whole idea of, I need you, I can't live without you. Again, it's endearing, it's romantic, but it's ultimately a weak mentality to carry. Because if you can't live without the person that you're with, one, it allows them to abuse and manipulate you endlessly, because you won't have the will, you won't have the courage or the ability to leave if necessary. And if they happen to cheat, you'll just deal with it. If they die, you break up, you're going to be a fucking mess. And so it's not a healthy mentality to have. You got to save love for yourself so that you can endure it, so that you can move on, regardless of if you need to eliminate somebody from your life or somebody decides to walk out of your life.
Without you, if you decide that's the control. Power corrupts. If you give a motherfucker power, they're gonna abuse it. I do comedy for a living. The worst thing you can do when you're bombing in front of a crowd is try to make them laugh. When I bomb, I chase the motherfuckers out the door. Leave, faggot. You don't like it, go fuck your mother and go.
That's a great philosophy.
And you know what they do? They don't leave.
They don't leave. And so he said power corrupts. It's the control. And it goes back to that fear of loss. And I remember, I think AMS said something similar, Alpha Male Strategies. And I think he basically said, you got to be willing to lose it all. You got to be willing to risk it all for a peace of mind. And everything that Patrice is talking about, and he's going to continue talking about throughout these videos, I think it all goes back to protecting your own happiness. It all goes back to protecting your own peace of mind. The other guy was acting as the pussy whip advocate, just kind of challenging Patrice's ideas. And he was presenting the age-old idea of just enduring the bullshit of relationships for a greater reward. But what greater reward is there than the protection of your own happiness and well-being? People always talk about the importance of mental health, but then when you actually take the steps to protect it, especially when it comes to dealing with women in relationships, all of a sudden it's like, nah, you got to deal with the negativity, and it's crazy, man. So, next.
Rob.
Yeah, what's up, Patrice?
What's going on, man? What's up? Thanks.
Hey, listen. All right, backstory will be quick. Been married 4 years. My wife hasn't blown me since we've been married. She gives me sex maybe once a month. I'm on a bachelor party in another city. Do I have a legitimate beef to get some ass tonight?
Even if she is fucking you every night.
What's his name?
It's Rob.
Rob, this is Dante.
Yeah.
Nothing helps a marriage more than cheating. Nothing makes it easier, because if whenever you're cheating, there's nothing that she can say that would upset you after you get home. Nothing.
In a weird way, I don't condone cheating. Let me just put that forward first. I do not condone cheating at all. But what Dante says here about how cheating can help a man, I think there's some truth to it. And it doesn't even have to necessarily be cheating. When you look at, like, just as I think the perfect example is Will Smith and his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. I believe that for a while they were in an open relationship, an open marriage, and that's what allowed Jada to go and have her fun with whoever, right? We all know the whole story. I believe personally, if they never opened up their marriage to allow those infidelities or allow those entanglements, they probably would have already got divorced. Again, I'm not condoning it. I just think that one of the big issues that I see in marriage is that at some point the husband and wife become incompatible sexually, and that creates a lot of problems. It creates a lot of tension and friction between the two of them. And so if they can alleviate their sexual frustrations without the help of their partner, if they're allowed to go seek someone that can satisfy them. Again, this is fucked up NTR hentai shit, but it's real shit. If they can satisfy those urges somehow and kind of scratch that itch, I think they can kind of come together again and be like, okay, well, look, you ain't doing it for me in this way, but look, I'm good now, so now I can be your wife. I can be your husband again. Again, I don't condone it. It's crazy, but I think that he has a point there.
I'm just thinking,
That's
get
a
little
good
head.
point.
And the guilt you feel will cause you to do shit around the house that you never would have done. You'll cut the grass, you'll paint the living room, you'll do what she wants you to do because you're
Oh,
guilty.
yeah.
Let me tell you something, Rob. Let me tell you something
Definitely
about this situation, cheating. Is you got to understand that, first of all, think to yourself why have you ever cheated on her before?
No.
All right.
Jesus.
No.
Think to yourself,
Wow.
why don't you cheat on her now? Fuck, why don't you cheat on her? Because that's some fucking magical shit women invented. Because we're not cheating. Wait a minute, Kevin. Just real quick, why do you stay faithful to her? What's your reason?
Notice how he said we're not cheating. Now, I've never been a believer in this whole idea, men don't cheat, they exercise our options, or women should accept that high value men cheat. I'm not a believer in that. I think cheating is cheating. Now, if you establish in the beginning of a relationship that it's okay for him or her to do that, then whatever. But I think when you go behind their back and do it, it's going to create negative. It's definitely going to stir up negative emotions in the person that's being cheated on.
I'm pathetic.
No.
It's fear.
Why do you stay? Why don't you go get side pussy? Why don't you? Just why? In your own for
What
your
about
own?
her? Why is she only happy with sex once a month?
Because I mean,
Is it a chore?
Bait and switch.
Go ahead.
She used to put out all the time before we got married and all that stuff. And then as soon as we got married, she found Jesus and she didn't do it anymore.
Oh, she found Jesus.
Oh, Lord. So if you listen to what the caller said, he called it a bait and switch. Now, Coach Greg Adams, he always talks about this, the bait and switch. So if you don't know what the bait and switch is, it's what happens a lot of times in relationships. And oftentimes it is the woman who is accused of doing this. And it's where in the beginning of the relationship, the woman is behaving like the perfect partner. Cooking, cleaning, she's submissive, she's cooperative, the sex is fantastic. But once you start investing, the more you invest, when you start moving in together and you share your bank account, you got a car together, you get married, you have kids, over time, they start to pull back in terms of the effort they were putting in to sort of lure you in. And I hate to say it like that because it's one of those things where I don't know how much of it is conscious versus subconscious. Are women deliberately doing these things to manipulate? Like, do they understand that, okay, like, do they say to themselves that I'm going to just flood this nigga with sex, and the second I get a baby or the second I get a ring, I ain't got to do this shit no more? I can't imagine that they really even consciously think that. I think that to a certain degree, it might just be the comfort that they fall into once the guy just starts investing so much, and they just know, again, consciously or subconsciously, that, I don't have to do everything that I was doing anymore, because if he has an issue with me not doing it, I have the power. Like Patrice said earlier, power corrupts. I have the power. Oh, if you're mad at me not putting out as much anymore, divorce, take the kids, this, that, and the third. So that's the bait and switch.
Okay,
that's an excuse. Yeah, that's an excuse. Listen, dude. Let me explain what happened to you. This is a sad thing, and sometimes you have to face the truth. And I think pathetic was the right word. But we all get pathetic until you get that gene in you where you just want to be a pimp and want to be happy. You have to say to yourself.
Listen to what he said. We all are pathetic until you get that gene in you where you want to be a pimp and be happy. But let's be a pimp and be happy. He didn't say be a pimp and abuse women and control women. He said be a pimp and be happy. It all comes back to happiness. And some people might wonder, why am I, as a virgin who never had a relationship, so interested in this? One, I just find it fascinating, because I like girls and it's interesting to learn about relationship dynamics. But I think a lot of the red pill comes back to the man doing what you're supposed to do in terms of protecting your own happiness and standing up for yourself.
Okay, look, you can't love a woman like a woman loves you. You cannot give energy to her the same way she gives it to you. You can't go booby bear. You can't hold her hand because she's holding yours. It's a distance thing. You have to, if she loves Jesus, okay, and no offense to God, but you put pressure on her to love you as much as she loves God, okay? God, she's loving Jesus. He's a entity. Like, you can't see him, but something's there for making her chase Jesus. That's what she's doing. You got to make her chase you. Do you understand? Stay gone for a couple of days. Fucking have other things to do besides worry about how much she loves you.
So he talked about distance there. which is another thing that I believe personally is important in a relationship. Because I think with anyone, the more time you spend together, the more you just are gonna start getting sick of each other. I know, like, there was a time when my best friend used to come over like every day, and it was fun at first, but then over time, I wanted my space to play Skyrim. Right? This was years ago, by the way. I don't see him like that anymore. I guess you got to be careful what you wish for. But I think that in a context of an intimate relationship, I think it sort of works the same way. I think as a man, in order to keep things interesting, there has to be some distance. There has to be something to keep things interesting. I think it's sort of like when you look at like there's a saying that the best spice is hunger, which means that nothing makes food taste better than being hungry. And I say the best aphrodisiac is abstinence. You know, nothing makes sex better than having been without it for a long time. I've known that just through, practicing no fap, not masturbating for days on end, and you finally do it. And then it's like, wow, masturbating is so much more fun and better if you wait a while and let that sexual energy build up over time. And then when you unleash it, I mean, it's just, it's a much bigger bang for your buck. And I would imagine that in relationships, it's the same way. I think in a way, men and women in relationships need some distance so they have time and space to miss each other for that desire to sort of build up. And this is kind of another issue with being married, is that you guys are just around each other too fucking much. You get bored of each other. You get predictable. You start smelling each other all the time. And it's I think it's bad in terms of keeping a relationship spontaneous and interesting and fresh when you're just all up under each other's ass every day. And this guy ended up falling into the bait and switch. Let's move to the next sound bite.
So there's a lot of shit that we're trying to figure out during the show, and I know there's a lot of men that have problems, but you got to understand, dude, every philosophy in here is based on having problems with women. It's not based on here's how you get. I don't give advice on how to pick up girls. I ain't know how to pick up girls. I know how to stay happy.
Boom. Boom. That's one of my favorite things he ever said. I don't know how to get girls. I know how to be happy. And when I look at relationships and I look at life and the issues that men have with women, it's so clear to me that if they just simply prioritize their own happiness, they wouldn't be dealing with these issues. Everybody has a right to prioritize their own happiness. Unless you're talking about your children that you're obligated to take care of, that's probably the only time where you should ever put your own happiness and well-being to the side. And even then, the process of taking care of them should make up for that. Any other thing, I think that you should always prioritize your own happiness. And I think that when you understand what makes you happy and you prioritize that, and I would throw the word respect in there too. I think respect is another big thing. When you prioritize those things, I think dealing with women becomes a lot easier.